What is going on, everybody? Thank you all so much for tuning into this live stream segment of Mika Says Ukasa. And of course, as always, I am your humble host, Niko House. I have with us a very special guest, one third of the Convo Couch. Apparently, she is a sex worker extraordinaire. I didn't know this because Fee owes me some money, and either business is bad or she's been hiding something from me. And she was also with us at Force to Vote, Action for Assange, and was on the ground that day in DC. And she's going to let us know a little bit about what really happened. I would like to welcome everybody back. Welcome back, Fiorella, for everybody else. Isabel from the Combo Couch. What's going on, Fee?
Hey Nico, what's up, fam? How you doing?
I'm chilling like a villain on a penicillin, pissing off neoliberals, doing my thing.
Pissing off the neo progressives too. The freaking
Then
like
more.
they've just come out of the woodworks. Like they literally have just come out of the woodworks. Like nonstop attacks on you, me, Brianna Joy Gray, anybody that was there that day. It's really interesting.
Yeah, I
Um,
saw somebody trying to attack like some neo progressive who thought it was once again smart to attack Bree and got like 4 likes. I'm like,
yeah,
don't do it. Don't do it. You gonna be out here looking like
yeah.
Ben.
Yeah, it's bad, but I think I don't know. It's a reaction to like some sort of like psychological issue where they can't grapple with the fact that this is what's going on and you can't understand it. You can't put it in a box. You can't put us in a box, right? Like I think people have a hard time with that. It's kind of like why I think Tulsi Gabbard got a lot of hate because it was really hard to define where she was on the spectrum in politics. And it's like, I consider myself a leftist, but I'm also not an authoritarian leftist. I think censorship is wrong.
You're like
And
real
I'm going to say
leftists.
that. And I'm going to say that. Like, I don't want any authoritarian bullshit. Like, that's how that's what the right is fear. Is fearing when they talk about communism and the boogeyman like that. That's what they think is. And you're literally proving their point. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's ridiculous.
What? So before we get into the actual censorship aspect, I think it's important for people to know what happened on the ground. And like we kind of, so I was there before the day before everything popped
Hmm.
off, and I'm just tagging you on Twitter real quick, Fee. But and it was already kind of weird that what we were getting online that while I was there, right? But
Hmm.
people don't know that this DC event that everyone is saying is a coup was being discussed and planned, and we had even been like the police were being kind of prejudicial towards us because of that planned event that they were expecting.
Exactly, exactly. So like when we did the force the vote speeches both times, but especially the second day, when we were moving to different locations, the police were like surrounding a group of like 30, 40 protesters. And there were so many of them, and they were ready to arrest us with zip ties. And I just find that so interesting, like in comparison to groups of over hundreds of thousands of people for for the Stop the Steal rally, and mostly Trump supporters, not everybody but mostly Trump supporters go in there, and you don't have the security. Supposedly you don't have the right preparation, even though the mayor was told, hey, do you want backup? He literally rejected the backup. Like what like why would we be more of a menace than those people, right? Why would you have more
Well, in their
preparation?
defense, Fee, y'all did have a big black guy speaking at the event. So in their defense, I'm a little threatening. You know, when you wear floral pants and you have blonde hair, look, you look. So there is a lot of like misinformation going on about
Hmm.
who was assaulted, who wasn't assaulted, who got into the building, who wasn't, if it was a coup, if the police let them off the hook. And as always, the truth is actually somewhere in the middle. So can you let people know what actually happened that day when you, Pasta, and Johnny were on the ground?
Yeah, so that day, there was two major events. There was one at the Ellipse, which was closer to the White House. It wasn't exactly at the White House. It was a very large park, and there was so many people there. And that was where Trump gave his speech, where he was talking about, how we're not going to give up on the election. But what people don't like let play is the second part where he was talking about peace, and he was saying we have to make sure we go about it peacefully, and he was talking about fake news and how like the elections were fraudulent. He said we won big, all these things he said multiple times before,
Mm-hmm.
and people were, you know, really cheering about that. He also talked about the foreign policy aspect and how we were spending too much money. I mean, so I was there, we were filming it, and we couldn't go live because there was no signal. The
There was a
police were
signal
scrambling
jammer
the
there.
signal.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so we were just videoing it all. And, you know, we're laughing because he says like even third world countries have a better election system. And me and Pops were
Who said
laughing because
this?
it's Trump. Trump said that. He said even third world countries have a better election system. And I
That's
believe we
true.
still have some video of that to post. And
Hold
like,
up, hold up, Fee, double back. This conversation was had that day,
yes,
so
that
they
day.
couldn't
That's
even
right. I'm
live
saying.
stream Trump's actual speech because of the signal jammers, and because I haven't seen that shit anywhere.
The only people that were able to live stream were people with satellites. Even people who had some of the live views had trouble streaming that day. Like
But I
people
haven't
with
seen his
the
speech anywhere.
yeah, they're not putting his speech anywhere because his speech, the way it came out, Nico, and you know I'm no fan of Trump, was like he was being pretty honest, and he was pretty like, you know, he of course he instilled his whole the immigrants and all that at the end, but he literally was talking about how other countries have better elections than we do, and how the American people need to trust in their election system, and saying things that you know, I was
Holy
like,
shit!
this is the truth. They don't want you to hear this, and we were like, holy crap, this is crazy.
This
This is
that's
good.
why
Okay,
they said this is why they went after him. That's why they went
right,
after him.
right. And so anyway, so we start packing, going. We know the next event is coming up, and we wanted to stop by the car because we parked further. So it's about like the actual distance from the actual White House to the Capitol is 2 miles. But keep in mind that we weren't all really by the White House. We were further away because it's a big parade.
Yeah.
And so when I mapped it out from where we were at, it was 4 miles, and then we had to stop at the car. So we decided to stop at the car and drive there. And all he had said was, "We're going to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue to the Capitol." Literally, multiple people have said that multiple times. Multiple leaders have said, "We're going to walk from here to here." They were using
Yeah, we
that
said it the
statement.
day before. Literally the day before. That's
Yeah,
what was so
so
funny. I'm like, yeah, we were like, take back your country and walk down to the Capitol for the force to vote protest. Like literally, that's what we
yeah,
did.
exactly. And what like, and it's just crazy to me, like this all of this shit happening, like right. And so we're driving there. We finally get there, and all of the people that not all of the people who were walking with Trump hadn't made it at all. There had been people there already. So while some of
Mm.
the people were at the rally, there were already people ready trying to push into the Capitol, right? Because it was in two completely different places, and some people wanted to get there early to make sure they would be able to see or do whatever it is they were doing. And so when Pasta noticed, because he was following what Tracy Beans was saying on Twitter, he noticed her saying, "Hey, by the way, we're not at the Capitol yet. We're still on our way there with the president," because they were all walking with Trump. So when people are
That's
using that
crazy.
excuse that Trump incited violence and he told people to walk down there and march and coup, that's not how it played out. That's not at all how it was. There
Wow.
were other people that were willing and ready to go to the Capitol and go into the building way before those people even, like, Trump even finished speaking.
So Trump
So there's
actually
no,
marched?
well, he was walking down Pennsylvania Avenue
Yeah.
towards the Capitol.
Bro,
Yeah.
that's fucking
That's
this man out here. Oh, bro. See this is what I said, man. I'm just so jealous, bro. I'm just so jealous cuz we wanted this from Bernie so bad in 2016. We wanted like we just bro, just
yeah.
tell the truth about the system. Like and don't just like stop speaking from like speaking at us from this goddamn podium from the top of the goddamn mountain like you're our savior. Like get down in the trenches with us because like that's what we're doing every day, and we don't want you just like pretending like what we're experiencing, the rigging that we are seeing isn't actually rigging, and that oh we should just ignore it. Like, that's why Trump's base is so loyal. And I would imagine that's also why Trump, they're censoring Trump. Not necessarily, no, hell no. It's not because he was inciting violence. Because literally, he assassinated Soleimani, bragged about it, and then threatened World War III with Iran, bro. If that is not inciting violence, I don't know what is. And yet he didn't get censored.
Right.
And Twitter didn't get taken off the App Store for allowing it to happen, allowing it to trend. But for him to go tell the truth and then galvanize his base like that, and that's what they were marching behind. It wasn't the whole idea of, oh, white supremacist this, white supremacist that, white supremacist this. Like, no. It was because he told the truth about our corrupt election system that a lot of people, once again, have known for a long time. The Democrats had no problem challenging the election in 2000 with Al Gore and George Bush. And like I said, North Carolina, that election got flipped because of ballot harvesting. Like, there are ample examples. I mean, Tim Canova's race, 10,000 ballots got destroyed by Brenda Snipes, and she didn't get fired until the next time she tried to do that, or tried to rig it, and she just happened to rig it when DeSantis was running against Gillum, and they caught her. Like, that's the only reason she got fired. But like, there is plenty of examples to show that election integrity is a major problem. And what it looks like they're trying to do, in my humble opinion, I'd like to get your opinion on this, is that they're trying to equate questioning our election system with violence and insurrection.
Exactly.
I feel like we are in the middle of fucking Venezuela right now, or Bolivia.
Exactly, except that most of the left here is right in line with the establishment. And I mean even the left, right? Because we, as I said, we are the only channels besides Ben Swan on RT who has really talked about election fraud from the left. And we are getting so much hate from that. We are getting called fascists, Nazis, and saying we're playing into Trump's little conspiracy theory, even though elections have been challenged for decades now. I mean, you can go back to Bush versus Gore. You can go back to even further than that. You can go back to Bernie Sanders. You can go back to any single time. Elections have always been questioned because we can't look into these machines because we don't have any control over our elections. So why wouldn't you question the election? But exactly, Niko, that was exactly why, because they didn't want people to question the elections. And you know what was happening that day was the electoral votes were being counted. And so that a lot of people were angry, but the vast majority of people, when we started walking up into the Capitol, were like, yeah, we're here because I don't believe the elections were fair. And we were just interviewing them. We saw grandmothers, families, babies, kids, like none of that is being shown in the media. Now, everything is being focused on the very top, the people who made it to the top and were allowed in. We're allowed in and told, literally, you have about an hour to go in there and stay. And literally, like, they were being led into a museum. That's how it was. There's fucking video of it. So you can take that two ways. You can say, oh, well, that means that the police and Trump's people were in on it and they wanted them to cause mayhem. But that doesn't make any sense when you look in the grand scheme of things, when you look at who really has a vested interest in making this look like a terror attack,
especially considering
like a coup.
Some people wrote legislation the day before to address it.
Exactly. And it was a draft and whatever. You can say, well, they were considering doing this for a while. It's like, well, first of all, why are they trying to silence voices who are questioning the election? It is their right to question the election. And politicians, especially, they're going to do the will of the people. If the people are questioning the election, the politician has to do what the people are supposed to, like, what the people want. So number one, that's like unconstitutional, in my opinion, for Cori Bush to be drafting that legislation. Number two, obviously, it's a disappointment. She's already showing where she's at with this.
Yep.
And also
she's been a good little puppet since she's got in, huh?
Oh, 100%. Like, and that they're trying to push this impeachment, but they were trying to do that before. This gives them the perfect excuse to not only push impeachment, but start the new war on terror, which is a war on domestic terror. Any sort of dissent, any sort of questioning of the government, especially elections, is going to be looked as terrorism.
Yeah, I know. And you see, I don't know if you saw the legislation that they're introducing. They're trying to do, in both the Senate and the House, they're trying to introduce legislation that would make it, like, any type of MAGA rally, it would be considered domestic terror.
Yeah.
Now, so once again, Bernie people, kind of need y'all to understand exactly what we're dealing with here. Think about it from this perspective. There's going to be a lot of challenging of Joe Biden this election. Obviously, a lot of MAGA people are pissed. But if you, as a Bernie supporter, maybe join up with me as a Tulsi supporter and some independents who may have just got into the political system, and 3 MAGA people show up to the rally and that's all they get on camera, guess what? You are now part of a domestic terror rally. That's what they're telling you. That is what they're doing. This is just, once again, this is history, people. They used the specter of Russia in the 60s and the 70s to spy on the Black Panthers and name them domestic terrorists, to spy on Martin Luther King and make him a domestic terrorist, to assassinate Fred Hampton and call him a domestic terrorist. Like, this is, they're using, Russia didn't work. Honestly, the Russia shit didn't work because not enough people believed it. And obviously Trump's still here. Then they like, well, shit, we got to figure out something else. White supremacy didn't even work. Because they were like, shit, not enough people care in America that racists are racist. Yeah, we already know this. Cool. Because it turns out a lot of leftists are racist too. So they don't really care all that much.
Clearly.
Exactly. And then, of course, we have Joe Biden in. So now they're like, well, shit, you know what? Fuck it. Insurrection. We'll just go ahead and go nuclear then. Insurrection. And they've been setting up the stage for this for years. They've been trying to do stuff like this. And now they have their reason, and everybody, oh my God, it's so funny. Haha, Trump censored. Ha, he deserved it. Ha ha ha. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but don't you, I mean, in one independent journalist said, I don't care about the specific reason that Trump is censored. And I'm like, I don't know why you're doing this job then. Because if you don't care about the specific reason, then you better not care for the specific reason you get censored later, because they're not going to give you one. I want to give an example really quick, because we said what was coming immediately, and Ron Paul has been banned from Facebook, and he said this on Twitter with no explanation other than repeatedly going against our community standards, whatever the hell that means. Facebook has blocked me from managing my page. Never have we received a notice of violating any community standards in the past, and nowhere is the offending post identified. Now, we know that it's because, one, he isn't really, I mean, actually, and funny enough, Ron Paul doesn't actually like Trump. So there's that. But it's because he's on RT, and he has media freedom, and he has an audience that he can get the truth to. That's why he's being banned.
Exactly. And I want to go back to the part where, you know, we're in DC and there was a lot of talk of so many weapons and people heavily armed and all this stuff. And it's like, we didn't see people with weapons like where we were. Somehow people with weapons got in and they were let inside and they were allowed to steal things and allowed to take things and take selfies and wear furries and look absolutely ridiculous and make a joke out of America, right? It's like somehow all of that was allowed, but I didn't see any weapons. We did get tear gas because the police, they had a line right there and they were starting to be confrontational with the protesters that were down there. Johnny, of course, wanted to go to the top and we were like, Johnny, no, because we didn't know how bad it was going to get. But, you know, we normally have our equipment. We didn't have our equipment. And so then we did get tear gas and people were complaining about the police. Like, well, you know, fuck them if they're going to tear gas us. And I'm like, well, hey, you guys.
Hold up. Say that part again. Cause I think more people need to hear that part. Like, no, I'm serious. People need to hear that because, like you said, y'all did get tear gas, and what was the response from the MAGA crowd who for the first time realized, oh shit, the moment we become an inconvenience to the fascists, we're done. You said they said
like,
what?
Fuck. They said fuck the police then. They literally said that. Like, if they're gonna come at us, then yeah, we're gonna go after them. I'm like, and I'm over here like, holy shit, you guys. I kept saying like on camera whenever I could get a live feed, like, I hope they realize now that the police or the police state are not their friends, and they're going to do what the state tells them to do. And it's that simple, right? Because you and I have both been very strong advocates of police justice against police brutality, and that's consistent. That doesn't change. By the same token, I've watched several videos of the woman who was a veteran, and she was a Trumper, and she believed in Stop the Steal. And the thing she was saying before she died, I think her name was Ali Babbitt. That was her name. She had a video. She was talking about how people are hurting, how people are poor, how people don't believe in their country. Nobody is showing that video, and it's crazy to me. She was the one that was shot.
Hold up, and she live streamed?
She put a video on Twitter before she
before she
died. Yeah.
That's and apparently it was a Secret Service agent who did it.
I don't know if it was a Secret Service agent, but I know it was a security force, whether it was a police agent or a Secret Service, but it was a type of police. But all I'm saying is, yesterday, in the last couple of days, I was told I was a fascist sympathizer because I said I don't believe any people should be killed by police. Like with completely unarmed people who, even if you think they're doing a crime, you shouldn't shoot them point blank. And we've seen the video of how she got shot. Like,
Bruh,
that is a
that was in his
police
execution.
murder. It's not okay. And I'm against it when it happens to people fighting for any cause, whether it's protesting or whether it's them walking down the street. I'm against it then, and I'm against it here. And if that makes me a Nazi sympathizer, so be it. But I am a human being, and I don't think humans should be talking to the FBI and turning people's names in. I mean, I see leftists here asking, like, saying, "Oh, we're going to turn these people into the FBI." There's one guy that's archiving a bunch of tweets on Twitter from a lot of leftists saying, "Oh, put them on this archive. We're going to give them to the FBI."
What's his name?
I don't know his name. I saved it, so
I was going to make a
post about it.
I'm gonna turn his name to the FBI too, but it's gonna be a different type of FBI. What we're seeing now is the response to what happened in DC, and their response has been not only to excommunicate Trump, like literally days before his exit, but also to expel any congressman who challenge the Electoral College, because once again, AOC, Cori Bush, and others have literally said, "Oh, you challenged the Electoral College, therefore you inspired a coup d'etat," which, by the way, somebody pointed this out because it's a conservative on Twitter who follows me. He's like, "Yeah, good luck finding a coup full of right-wingers who didn't bring their guns." I was like, oh, actually, that makes sense. I don't know why I didn't think about that obvious fact. But basically, it's true. If they were there to handle business,
all of them would have been armed.
It would have been a whole different game. And like a lot of people clearly were there and they didn't bring anything like that because they knew that if they did bring that type of stuff, it could be seen or interpreted as like a legitimate coup. And yet, unfortunately, that's what happened anyway. Go ahead.
So after the event, right, when we were going home to the airport, we ran into some Trump supporters on the way, because most of the people going home were Trump supporters. Like they were, so many people were there. Over, I think 300,000 was the actual count. They had said it was going to be over 100,000, but people said that it was as big as 300,000. And they were all, they started, we were like, oh, we went there to cover it, blah, blah, blah. They were like, we were asking them like, hey, like, so what do you think happened? And they were like, oh no, totally. Like, this was a setup. I feel used. I feel like we went in there and somebody used us. This is like the way people were let in, and then the way it was all played out. Like, now we didn't want those guys to do that. Like, we were just going there to talk about the Stop the Steal. It was like a normal older man and his wife and like people like that. And then they brought up, of course, why weren't there any? And this is where I was like, I don't know if I agree with this, but they did say, why weren't there any counter protesters? There weren't any. Usually when you see a Trump rally or any sort of Trump protest, there are always BLM or counter protests.
Where was Antifa at?
I didn't see them. So
everybody keep telling me I'm crazy.
We were looking for them because we wanted to interview them, because we always, when we go to those places, we interview both sides. We interview the Trump supporters, and then we interview the BLM / Antifa / whatever else they are. And like, we didn't find any. So, and Johnny's brown, like he didn't feel unsafe. Like we were talking about that,
People have no idea really how really safe we've actually felt around Trump supporters, because they're fucking always nice to shit to us. Because one of us usually has like a Tulsi shirt on, or we're like being very respectful. We're like, hey guys, what's up? How you doing? Da 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 da. And they're always super nice. And if they find out who we support, they're like, man, it's so messed up how the Democratic Party did y'all. Like, it's so, like, how they treated Bernie or how they treated Tulsi. It's so messed up, man. We support universal health care too. We might have a different idea how to get there, but we support that too. We want big money out of politics. We laugh at neoliberals when we're all together, and neocons when we're all together. Like, that's why I feel safe, because in Johnny, when he interviews him, Johnny is very, very respectful. Jordan's an asshole who like goes out there just trying to embarrass Trump supporters. And then Johnny, when he's interviewing them, he's listening to their concerns. They actually feel validated. They respect him by the end of the interview. And now, of course, they're a lot more willing to listen to anything he has to say after that off camera because he respected them as people and actually heard their grievances.
And the other thing is that, and it's not to say that we haven't encountered white supremacists or police violence. We have, especially Johnny. He saved a bunch of people from a bunch of protesters from getting, arrested by the police unjustifiably so. And it's not that it doesn't exist. I'm saying in this particular instance where we didn't experience that towards any of us or any of the people. And I had a press pass on, so they knew I was press. So they knew I wasn't necessarily one of them. And, Johnny and Pasta Wall, he was wearing his fancy jacket. So they were like, what the hell is this guy wearing? They're all wearing like camo and wearing, like rustic, rugged clothes. And there's Pasta with his like turquoise jacket and the elbow pads that Steve loves so much. But it was not like the way it was portrayed in media. The media took one clip of the people going in there and then went off of that. And that's all they're reporting. Even Democracy Now! Is calling this a terrorist attempt.
That's because Democracy Now! Sold out forever ago.
Yeah. But it's so bad and so vile, like the way they're framing it. And so it comes back to us, Niko, when we say, no, actually, yeah, that's not necessarily what happened. We were there. Oh, but I saw in this video and it doesn't matter. We all saw the news said this. I'm like, okay, but like, since when do you watch mainstream media? Oh yeah, but I don't. And it's like, no, you supporting Nazis. You're supporting fascists. You can't be a leftist. It's like, wait a minute, I'm not supporting their ideology. I'm supporting their right to protest. I'm supporting the fact that I'm telling you the truth because I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to say in my reporting and twist the narrative like others do. This is why Jordan came on and was yelling at us saying that we were pushing these people to go there. It's, they're all Nazis. It's like, no, I'm so sorry. Stop saying they're all Nazis.
It's funny how he managed to not be on the ground for that, huh? Isn't that really interesting? That's really, really, really interesting because Jordan loves chasing a story. I'll give him that. And he loves chasing big stories. And he loves heckling Trump supporters. And yet, still, it seems like he's actually more upset, like more than anything else, that y'all were actually on the ground to get the truth, and that whatever narrative he was going to spew out, of course, because he was ready to parrot the mainstream narrative, he knew that because y'all were on the ground, you could correct him, and he would look like an idiot. That's my thing.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I'm not going to say that everybody there was a right-wing Nazi because I know for the fact that's not the case. Somebody put the Assange banner down when, you guys saw the Assange banner. And then also we had Steve was there.
Tim Canova was there.
Andrew was there. Jason Burmas was there. Tim Canova was there. I mean, all these people, I know they're not Nazis and I know they're not white supremacists. And they criticize QAnon, especially Steve and Andrew. Like, they're not like part of that crowd and they have their experience. And I was just on Steve's show too, talking about this. And we've all come to the same freaking conclusion. This was a giant psyop used to bring a new war on terror on Americans. And of course, when you say it like that, people are like, deep state, you're a right winger. It's like, no, dude, the deep state's very real. You can go read about it. You can go do your history education on it. Go read 1984. Go watch Me for Vendetta. Do whatever it is you're gonna do, but like fucking do it, because people think like I'm being dramatic when I say like we're fucked, but literally smart leftists I know are like, where am I gonna move to? Because if shit goes down here, then
bruh, I'm out here practicing my Spanish right now. I gotta get fluent, man. Mexico City is looking like my new home. Plus, if I go to Mexico City, I'm basically rich, I think. Like, I'm gonna take this little $10 I got in my bank account and go buy a mansion. I'm not even playing with y'all, all right? But it's scary because basically what we are seeing, in my opinion, is multiple attempts, once again, to usurp the Constitution and constitutional authority in various instances to establish, I don't even call it law and order, just to establish authoritarian policies like what we have seen Biden introduce, what we saw. What's scary about the Cori Bush situation is like her trying to expel these congressmen, specifically, she wants to expel Republican congressmen, except for, like, according to the Constitution, guess who has the authority of the Electoral College to certify or challenge when necessary? It is literally Congress. So she is saying thereby, by doing their job, they are actually inciting violence.
Right.
By abiding by the like, why would I be a congressman if with situations where I can use my constitutional authority to do the right thing, I can't do the right thing?
Right.
Because they don't want you doing the right thing.
Precedent.
They don't want you doing the right thing.
Exactly. And I don't know if you've been hearing, Niko, but several people in the military have been voicing what Whitney Webb has been talking about, and Whitney Webb got all of this right, that we're going to have an event that leads to not just the crackdown on with the mass surveillance and censorship and silencing dissent, but also martial law. In the next few days, there are talks of the military pushing martial law on the American people.
I mean, they've been practicing. They've literally been practicing it. And what they did, because they're smart, if they would have done it just cut and dry, no shock value whatsoever, or excuse me, with too much shock value, then it would have been like, what the, y'all lost y'all fucking mind, and people would have went crazy, right? Mm-hmm. But what do? Oh, these riots out here, we got to do a curfew. Okay, but they're not riots, and it was just, y'all just started wilding out. We weren't doing shit wrong. We were just chilling. Okay, cool. Oh, well now, COVID, after 10 o'clock, COVID gets busy, and it's easier for you to get COVID. So now you got to have another curfew. And people are like, okay. And then they open up, oh, sorry, got to close down again, guys. And you got to be in the house by 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. So now people have now become desensitized to what they are already experiencing, which is basically martial law. They've been doing it off and on and on and off and off and on and on and off. So now you're desensitized to the fact that a lot of us have lost our rights in real time. That's what I was telling people. Like, if a protester is protesting peacefully, then telling them that they cannot assemble through a curfew is actually unconstitutional. And there's likely going to be some court cases dealing with that at some point in the near future. But now they're setting the stage up so that when something big goes down, and I've been saying the same thing, because once again, if you've studied coups in other nations, you know how this game goes. Our country is not original at all. Like, there's something going to happen. They already have the legislation prepared. They already have the House and the Senate, and they're about to try and once again pull the wool over your eyes and convince you, yeah, not only do we have to fight domestic terrorism overseas, terrorism overseas, now we have to fight terror at home, and we know that as a never-ending war.
Right, and it's a mockery, making a mockery out of all the dead people in the Middle East, out of all the dead people in Latin America that have died and suffered as a result of our foreign policy and our coup attempts all over the world. And when you call this a coup and a terrorist attack, and you clutch your pearls like a fucking moron, like, oh my God, it was a coup. Oh, when a guy's entering and taking a selfie, looks like a furry, like it's ridiculous. Like you are making a mockery out of what we do to people when we drone them, we bomb them, we sanction them every fucking day. What our allies like Israel did, even that day, Syria was bombed by Israel, and nobody cared about that because we were too busy paying attention to this. That was our fucking ally that we gave billions of dollars to, trillions so far, and it's disgusting. Nobody cares. Where's your pearl clutching for that? No, I guess brown people abroad don't count.
No, of course they don't. And as far as this coup talk, I just find it interesting that all of a sudden this government that we literally said we need to, because just 4 or 5 months ago, everybody's revolution. It's time for revolution. It's time for political revolution. Because our government, guillotine. They failed. It's guillotine time. Oh my God, eat the rich. Okay. So now y'all see somebody who looked like they was about it for a little bit, and y'all like, oh, we have to protect these people that we literally despise because we're in the middle of a pandemic and they're denying us healthcare. They're literally killing us. Not only killing us, but killing multiple people around the world. Because as we're in the middle of a pandemic, they're trying to sanction countries like Venezuela and Iran in the middle of a pandemic. Okay. And now all of a sudden, so the moment that I was like, yeah, this shit ain't a coup. You know why? Because I'm consistent and I know exactly the moment that the mainstream media says, oh, this is a coup attempt. Okay. So it wasn't a coup attempt. Got it. Glad we cleared that up. Because if you're saying it and Ilhan Omar and AOC is saying it and then Bernie saying it and then Nancy Pelosi saying it, okay, no, so it's not a coup. Got it. Just want to make sure that I wasn't crazy because now I know to look for what's coming next because that's what it's really about. This is a setup like it was whenever Hillary Clinton was like, or whenever they leaked that story, two anonymous sources said Russia was trying to hack the election and everybody was like, no, it's not that big of a deal. And look at what that led to.
You can question the elections if it's Russia, but not if it's you're an American. Like if you think you're an American that your own government is doing something to your elections, you can't question that. But we spent 4 fucking years making the Russian boogeyman, and now they're trying to tie it to Russia again by saying, "Ooh, the coup attempt was similar to what Russia did." And like they're saying that, and it's actually more similar to China.
Yeah.
And the funded, the NATO backed and the freaking Democrat pro democracy groups that back the China the rebel
Remember whenever
the
Hong Kong
opposition.
Yeah, remember when Hong Kong
Yeah,
was
in Hong
wilding
Kong.
and when Trump was literally inciting violence there, right? Like actually the Dems and the Republicans were both inciting violence there. They're like, yeah, we believe in you. Yeah. Nothing. Nobody got taken down. In fact, Twitter was celebrating that bullshit. They were celebrating it. That's what I'm talking about. Like, Twitter isn't being taken off of Amazon server. Twitter isn't being removed from the Apple store. Twitter isn't being removed from the Google Play store. Like, that's why people do not, they're like, oh my God, Parler for nonsense. Of course I'm happy it's off. No. First of all, Parler had like a lot of lefties now, like, because Twitter fucked up. Everybody who follows me is basically a lefty. So, even still, okay, and like, if that's where dumbasses want to go to be dumbasses, then let dumbasses be dumbasses. Like, in public, please. Don't let them be dumbasses behind the scenes so we can't figure out what they're doing. Because how has that ever turned out well? But what it is, in my opinion, like I said, they claimed it was about violating the rule. It's not that. People need to know it is about the fact Donald Trump is a tweeter-in-chief who knows every secret in the world, and they just pissed him off beyond belief. That's what it's about. And he could galvanize the entire world by telling every government secret that you can think of and then using that to run in 2024 again. That's what it is.
And he should pardon Julian Assange to do that. Like, he should absolutely begin by doing that. Like, do it right now, Trump. I don't care.
Before you
freaking pardon Julian Assange. Like, what the hell?
Do it before you can't. Do it before you can't, you know? So what do you make of this? I don't know what you want to call it. This alliance between neo-progressives and the mainstream now. Like, I almost can't tell them apart. You see Jimmy was being attacked. And by the way, that's a little weird. Like the specific rhetoric that AOC was using, where she was subtweeting Jimmy, where she was like, progressive journalists and independent YouTubers who are using these words are committing violence. It's violence. That's what they're doing. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, that's fucking weird, bitch. What the hell? And then fast forward, what are they kicking people on Twitter off for? Like, she knew this was coming.
Yeah. Of course, she knew this was coming. I mean, if you still follow AOC to the point where you think she's a good person or she's going to do anything for you, you're a fucking moron. Because I'm sorry, we're at the point where she's shown you her true colors. Not only did we get 2 impeachment floor votes before we got 1 force of vote, floor vote, by the way, 1 Medicare for all, single payer, whatever. Not only that, she voted for Pelosi. The entire squad voted for Pelosi, and then she's turning it around, blaming us, the people who are trying to hold her accountable, blaming journalists, blaming commentators like Jimmy Dore, and saying that they're being violent, going right along with the new narrative that the establishment is spewing. And so if you think she's your friend, she obviously is not. So wake the hell up.
Beyond your America. She's a social. And what's funny is, so they AOC has like this thing where she has one personality on Twitter and then goes to Facebook and has a different personality. And of course, because she's a duplicitous sociopathic bitch, like she is. She's a sociopath. Everybody thought it was crazy when I used to say that. I'm like, I don't understand how y'all can't see this. For me, like, it was obvious from the beginning and maybe it's because, once again, we had a very unique vantage point because we knew that Tulsi had tried to work with her on an off act like AOC had promised to do before she got into Congress, and AOC was ignoring her, despite the fact she's like, I'm this climate change champion. Like, no. We knew that AOC had never come to Nina's defense or Bree's defense like she would come to defend Cory Booker or Elizabeth Warren or Julian Castro, or even work with Kamala Harris on climate change legislation that was actually just a pro-fracking piece of shit. Like, we saw, like, even though Elon is on her team, clearly, how she threw Elon under the bus like that for days, didn't defend her, let her be dragged, and then tried to use it as an opportunity. Like, when Trump finally said something, then, oh, look at how I come to my friend's defense. Yeah. Like, Nah, you're crazy. Like you're not like she isn't like it's not. There's some bad politicians, right? Like I feel like Cori Bush is just a bad politician at this point. Like I don't think she's evil. I don't think she's a sociopath. I think she's a bad politician. Doesn't know what the fuck she's doing. Jamal Bowman, ambitious, bad politician. AOC is Nancy Pelosi level sociopath, but more dangerous because she is only 31 years old. And people need to accept this. Like, this is what I've been saying. Like, all these other people, you can hold accountable, and they're gonna either be gone or they're gonna be dead and age out. But AOC is a different animal, and she knows it. And the establishment has really been protecting her, and y'all haven't seen it yet. Well, here we are.
Yeah, and she's supported by people like equally with the same characteristics as her. You can look at all the people in the elite progressive media, from Sam Cedar to Nomiki Khan to, you know, like they're all like carrying water for her to PR. Like that's what it was. You know, Anna Kasparian, Cenk Uygur. Like it's the same type of behavior, the same type of vitriol aimed at people like us who are like, we don't fall in line. We, especially people of color who are supposed to know their place and know that you're supposed to be tokenized for the Democratic Party narrative. And the moment you don't do that is when you get the more hate and vitriol. And I know you know what I'm talking about because you're a black man and you understand what happens time and time again.
And I'm a Nazi, apparently.
In media.
Apparently I'm a Nazi, which is a weird thing to call black people. That's woke. That's wokish. You know what I'm saying? That's like, you know, there's like woke. Yeah. That's woke as fuck, right? Yeah, man. I'm so woke as a white guy. I call black guys Nazis for not doing what I want them to do and saying what I want them to say. Get woke like me. That's basically what we got to deal with on a regular basis. But you know what? It's exposing because they think like they actually genuinely believe that they're somehow doing some damage to us. The people who don't like us don't like us already. If they don't like us, they don't like us. You're not adding anybody to that team, right? But the problem is you're giving us a lot more exposure to the people who didn't know about us, or people who thought they didn't like us. Then you have no idea how many people they were like, "Yo, man, I used to think you was wrong. Like you were crazy about AOC. Woo, was I wrong? I used to think you were wrong about TYT. Woo, was I wrong? Like all these times that people thought that we were just crazy, that we were just like because we were seeing what they weren't seeing, and because our money wasn't attached to TYT, because we're like one of the only independent journalists who were not attached to TYT, we were the only ones willing to tell the truth. And now here we are.
And we've never been attached to them. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I'm getting the same messages. Like, oh, I used to think that blah blah blah. Like. But, you know, you were right about this. I was going to follow you last time, but no, you were right about AOC. I mean, I'm getting some of those. Obviously, we're getting a lot of hate, too. But it's from all the people that don't even watch us anyway. Obviously.
This is
if
from
they watched us, they would know.
So this was a Trump supporter in response to something I had tweeted early in a thread. It said, "I'm sure you're smarter than me." He giving me way more credit than I deserve there. But he said, "I had to read your tweet like 10 times to understand it. I admit it. But I voted for Trump. And I can be won over, and Niko, you're damn close to it. Where do I go from here?"
Wow, that's powerful.
And Niko, my whole tweet is like acknowledging the fascism on both sides, acknowledging the failure for both Trump and Biden. Like, and here we are.
Sanders too.
Huh? And Sanders.
Because now, because now we're looking. I see Trump supporters as us, like in 2016, right? Like because their leader failed them. And we gave our leader another shot, but their leader failed them. A lot of them are mad at Trump. A lot of them are not happy with him. Like I've talked to a few of them, and it's like they're at a point where they're politically homeless. Some of them, because the Republican Party, you know, Joe Biden got in there and said we need a strong Republican Party. They want to go back to the McCains, to the Cheneys, to the Bushes. They're embracing that. He wants a real opposition party, meaning he doesn't want an opposition party. He wants a mirage of a party that exactly that's controlled. And so
I need an excuse for why I won't get anything done while I'm president.
Another fucking excuse. And by the way, these people are going to make excuses for Joe Biden anyway. They're already doing it. But
so mad at fascism. So mad at it that they don't care about Joe Biden's fascism as it's happening in real time.
In real time, but they don't see it because it's not as a blatant fascism as a guy wearing, you know, a white supremacist emblem or something that they deem as like a white supremacist. And I'm not making excuses for white supremacy. How could I? How could Niko? Like, come on. But
Yeah,
at the same
period.
time, it's like not everybody that disagrees with you is a white supremacist, and there are ways to, if Reverend Annie Chambers, as Glory Jones said, can go and march with a Klansman, we can at least talk to a Trump supporter that may have been misguided and bring them over and talk about issues. And I know this because I'm from Florida, in Central Florida, and I've also lived in the Midwest, and I've lived all over the United States, and I know how the rural rural areas think, and I know how they were screwed by the TPP, by NAFTA, by neoliberalism, and how they were up for grabs with somebody like Bernie Sanders. But the moment you put in a Hillary Clinton, a Joe Biden, I'm sorry, you lose those people and you lost them.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what these people don't get. They don't know how it works. They think, and mostly California liberals are saying this. They're like calling me a Nazi sympathizer. You
Hey,
guys have no idea
hey,
what's outside of
Fee.
California.
Since we
Zero.
on camera,
Zero.
since we're already on camera, what I tell y'all about them, bro? What I tell y'all? I used to tell y'all. I'm like, hey man, these motherfuckers is crazy. I'm like, I can sense. I'm like, I'm gonna chill over here. I'm gonna let y'all do y'all thing. These y'all friends, but I'm just letting y'all know what time it is when the shit hits the fan. And literally all of them, except for like maybe two or three of them, but basically
Yeah.
all of them have shown who they are. Like they began attacking you, they began maligning you, they began smearing you, literally lying about the job you have, which is weird. It's a weird thing to lie about, and it was like a weird flex, but whatever. Like this is like I can see it because in Florida, in South Florida, believe it or not, because of the Tim Canova effect, there's a lot of Broward County progressives who are hardcore. Like they fighting for electoral integrity. They're forming, a people's party out here. They're advocating for ballot initiatives. Like they're not playing no games with the establishment. And it's probably because once again of the Tim Canova effect, because they saw what happened in real time. Whereas in California, there was just a lot of money made from Bernie's campaign. Really, a lot of money and a lot of clout that was made, and that
Right.
effect has unfortunately trickled down throughout all of California.
Exactly. And there's a lot of white knights, like white savior complexes where they have to, tell you what to do. And like, it's like, no, I'm sorry. That's not racist. That's not this. Oh, well, then you must be racist then. It's like, no, I have my own opinion of how to do things. And I had one of our friends who came with us, Melissa, she went, and she was at the rally and she did not see any violence. And she said something about that. And somebody was saying she was carrying water for fascists just because she said, no, I didn't see violence. It's like, where are we, you guys? We're at this point where this is a
Now on
greater
the ground
unraveling,
reporting
right?
doesn't even matter.
Right. It's like, no, we're just gonna believe what we want to believe. Period. It
because
doesn't
it's
matter.
about click. It's about division. A lot of these people, you have to understand, like money, like TYT's money doesn't happen if they don't have an enemy to fight. They can't build around unity because one, they don't actually understand politics and they know nothing about politics. This is just who they are. Like they're idiots. I don't know why people pretend like otherwise. They just watch other people's shit and comment on other people's shit with outrage. Okay, so just that. But also, like they need division because to unify like is antithetical to the goals that the establishment is trying to achieve, right? Every single part of classism is them trying to pit men against women, women against trans women, black people against white people, black people against Latinos, white women against black women against white men. Like that's what they do in order to keep us all dumb and ignorant and angry. But the moment you have people saying, well, actually, have we tried not hating everybody? Whoa!
Yeah.
Oh, what's the big deal? I thought that we wanted to unite. That's what y'all have been
Yeah.
saying. Like that's
It's
why.
funny.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say we're looked on as accelerationists. We're looked as people that just want to tear shit down because we don't want to work with the Democratic Party anymore. But when we're talking about, killing somebody that might be a Trump supporter, they're like, yeah, more dead Nazis. Or I got a
Right.
comment that said you should have died too because you're helping the Nazis. Like things like that. It's like, wait a minute. So you're talking about it was too symbolic to force a vote. It was the same people. It was too symbolic to force a vote. You want to have civility in discussions. You think Jimmy Dore is violent. At the same time, you're talking about killing Nazis, which not you deem everybody who's a Trump supporter a Nazi. So you're talking about killing people who believe in a different ideology than you, and you think you're the moral superiority here.
Yeah.
What?
That's what
Like,
happens. when you have a movement that is based on a bunch of fucking nerds who never had friends, who were socially awkward, who never got no vagina, never got no Johnson, weren't the cool kids in class, were in band camp every summer, went to college, no one liked them, and then Bernie comes around, and it's cool to be a nerd, it's cool to be a leftist, and your entire friendship and all of your cliques are based off of, reversed. The movement is based off of the friendships and the cliques that you establish and the money that you've made, not based on what you're supposed to be fighting for. And because of that, if you call one of their friends out with the truth, quote unquote, one of their friends, because everybody thinks that AOC is going to be their friend one day. Like, if you call them out with the truth, then they attack you personally because it isn't about the policy. It's don't attack my friend that I've established this relationship because we're going to go get money and chase clout together, right? With the MAGA people, which is interesting because they're like, these are all people that I've already known and already hung out with and already been friends with and already in any other circumstance, I would still be chilling with these people. That's why we already got along. And so because of that, if you've ever engaged with a MAGA person like a bar, they will just walk up mid-conversation and hear me talk about random politics shit. I'm like, that's interesting, man. I didn't know that. What's your name?
Yeah. No, I know, because when I was a bartender, I would talk to them too. And that's what I say. I've talked to people with different, and as a leftist, they'd be like, wait a minute, you're a leftist? Wait, I thought you were supposed to love Nancy Pelosi and Hillary Clinton. I'm like, no, I can't stand Nancy Pelosi. She's awful. Oh my God, that's so cool. I hate Nancy Pelosi too. Oh, okay. Why do you hate her? Oh, well, she's terrible. She's giving Trump so much money for the military, and you just go on. And they're like, oh, okay. I didn't see it like that. Those are conversations we should be having. And Niko, what I wanted to say is we are a danger to that faction that wants to just hate, and wants to have their own authoritarian world where they ship 75 million Americans to a different island or pretend that they don't exist, which is impossible, and where they just are the arbiters of truth, where they say what is progressive and what isn't. They want to be the new gatekeepers. It is authoritarian as all hell, and we are a threat to both that, which is part of the establishment game, and any sort of authoritarianism that is there, because we tell the truth and we're not sold to anybody. And it's so difficult for people to realize what is an unbiased news source as much as possible, because we're all human beings and we all have a bias inherently. But when you are consistent, it's like they punish you for being consistent, because you're not supposed to be consistent. You're supposed to be pro leftist. So you're supposed to have solidarity, working class solidarity with the Twitter workers who wanted to throw Trump out. Are you fucking kidding me? That's not working class solidarity. That's literally technocratic solidarity.
Literally, Let these 5 people who have all the access to Twitter and determine the discourse of the entire world, because that's working class solidarity, right? Come on, guys. I don't think I know what capitalism means if that's the case. Fee, I'm gonna let you get on here and get up out of here. We got a few super chats. I just want to go ahead and give a few shout outs. Justin, appreciate you texting to me. Okay. Juan Chat Dirana. Wow, that's a very, very hard name. I saw we have a new I saw we had a new premium subscriber. Mary, shout out to our new YouTube premium subscriber. Appreciate you. We got a tip from Hunter Carranza on Rockfin. Make sure y'all go follow the Convo Couch on Rockfin. Fiorella is on Rockfin under the Convo Couch. Go follow them. Fiorella posted, and they got a lot of coverage from that weekend, by the way. So definitely go check that out. Chase Thomas, appreciate you. What's up, man? You sent it? All right, I got some other chats coming in a second. I want to make sure we get all you guys. You sent it? Oh, I'm not getting it. Okay. Participants, pop out chat. Let me pop out the chat. There we go. Okay. What's that I missed? We got Mary or Mari, baby. That's Mari. Come on now. North American Ape, appreciate you. So I got North American Ape, Justin. Yeah, all right, we're good. Looks like we're good. Called everybody out. Oh, James Curtis. My apologies. Darren Levy and Bethlehem. Biggest Fee fan ever. So Appreciate all you guys. Thank you all so much for tuning into this live stream segment of Mikasa Sukasa. Make sure to go follow the Convo Couch. Sparky, I just got you. Appreciate you. Make sure to go follow the Convo Couch on YouTube. Make sure you follow them on Rockfin. Make sure you go follow her on Twitter too, so you can also join Fee in her destruction of the neo-progressive movement. And other than that, ladies and gentlemen, always remember, more than anything else, find your balance.